观众朋友，大家好，欢迎收看客家新闻杂志。今日苏格兰盖尔语复甦之路亲密一些，会讨论媒体嘅角色同功能。然后带大家来面容聊聊，韩国认识的玻璃废材艺术家钟琴。语言复甦将透过教育层面的推广，按普遍时间同对象还是有限度。控台盖尔语嘅使用，听说还是要透过公共领域来做。其中电视算是大家生活当中轻调接触到嘅公共领域。故所喺蘇格蘭引來引導人講，要成立專屬嘅蓋爾語頻道，到係2008年一個訴求總算實現嘅。蘇格蘭嘅蓋爾語媒體協會同英國嘅公共電視 BBC 達成協議，成立為 BBC ALBA， 由 BBC 來出設備同製播人員。蓋爾語媒體協會家庭電視台嘅做法、目標同節目內容。也唔單止係全世界唯一的蘇格蘭蓋爾語頻道，咪係 BBC 頭一擺同特定組織來合作成立電視台。蘇格蘭蓋爾語復甦之路嘅親密一些，談論向聲人同訪客上嚟看 BBC ALBA 成立為3年來，對蓋爾語嘅保存帶來哪啲改變？
1923年 ，BBC 電台到蘇格蘭嘅ALBA等放送一團宗教節目，你係蓋爾語提出擺對港電媒體出現。我蓋爾語嘅大眾傳播之路行到並唔順遂。在過程當中 ，BBC 蘇格蘭台常常開始直播蓋爾語節目。我就出到2008年9月19，蓋爾語媒體協會 ALBA 同 BBC 正式合作，成立 BBC ALBA 將本蓋爾語使用者媒體權用權。There
was quite a long process to go through before we got agreement to launch the channel. And then what we found was then that the partnership, which we talked about in theory, became something very practical, and it was very much more enjoyable actually doing it and working towards the launch of the channel. Because it was something new, and it was something new that we were creating together. It didn't belong to anyone, so it was a real pleasure to do that. Since we launched, we've also been under review by the BBC Trust in order to see how the channel has performed. Although that was another process, we welcomed that process because we were able to demonstrate that the channel was working, that it was attracting an audience, and it was a very positive thing, I think, for us.
Okay, so the relationship we have is I'm with MG ALBA, which is the Gaelic media for Scotland, and our only job in life, our only mission is Gaelic broadcasting. The BBC has a very large mission in the UK for broadcasting, including Gaelic. So we combined that mission of theirs, part of their mission, with our whole mission to make BBC ALBA. And the work that we have ahead, we have a very successful partnership, a very large organisation partnering with a very small organisation. Many people thought it wouldn't work, but it has worked, and it's worked very, very well.
That's going to make us far too good there at all.
透過特定族群語言出現對電視單位，唔但將在本族群嘅發展權得到確保，也透過呢一種對公開場合再現嘅過程，體現族群嘅自信，強化語言公開性使用嘅價值，讓現在文化傳播嘅重要性。
Well, broadcasting of the Gaelic language and Gaelic programming on BBC ALBA is very important to the development and the promotion of the language and the culture of the Gael. We have programmes, for example, that are specifically aimed at learners of the Gaelic language. We have programmes that are aimed specifically at children, which is a key area for the future growth and development of the language. We work very closely with agencies such as Bordna Gaelic and other agencies that you are going to meet over the course of your visit to Scotland. Our remit is not strictly about Gaelic development, it is about the broadcasting of Gaelic programming. But through that, we help to develop the Gaelic language and culture.
對 BBC ALBA 來講， 創作播出內容參與性最大嘅利益，當然是使用蓋爾語去呈現頭擺蘇格蘭嘅電視觀眾，從來唔係透過蓋爾語接觸到嘅新聞模式節目，所以有全新嘅感受。同時因為接近地方，本觀眾覺得特別溫馨。
BBC Scotland is there, STV, Scottish Television is there. They are the two main broadcasters in Scotland. But they are...
You compete with each other to earn the audience, or it's not a competition relationship?
Well, it is, to the extent that the BBC and ITV do compete for audiences. But the interesting point that people forget about both of those channels is that they're opt-out channels. That basically what runs through both STV and BBC Scotland is a network from London that occasionally they opt out of and replace with Scottish product. We don't do that. We just run a network that is Gaelic / Scottish all the way through.
Yes.
So we are very different to them, and in a way we have complemented and filled a lot of the gaps, frankly, that exist in the Scottish broadcasting landscape.
I always watch them. They got good documentaries, and you can follow it because they got the subtitles at the bottom of the screen. So there's no reason for you not to understand it. Along with the subtitles, you can get the gist of what's happening, and it even helps you to pick up the Gaelic language just by listening to the words.
Programs on BBC ALBA, is that
very good, very good.
How do you like it?
Well, there's so many different ones, you know, and sometimes the following week again they'll show the same program if you miss it the first week.
Okay,
yeah,
that's good.
They're very good.
She's 98 and I went to speak to her recently, and she does everything in Gaelic, and I think that she was probably quite impressed that somebody as maybe young as me came over to her, sat there, we did our interview, we had a nice cup of tea, all the chat was in Gaelic, and something like that really means a lot, you know, somebody who has lived their life in the language, in the culture, and it's nice to be able to show them that we are carrying that on, that it's not dying out, it's very much alive, and it's nice to be able to show that there is, you know, a newer generation going to carry it on, and hopefully people don't need to worry.
實際上，呢個記者嘅經驗係一相輔相成嘅結果。其實 BBC ALBA 現在電視台實台出所謂時節，直接放棄外電播莫斯基拉斯哥，呢個記者蘇格蘭熱線態度是電到線到四鋪四多，而且忙到9000間人嘅小鎮 Stoneway。最主要目的有兩隻，提升和接近地方，減少電視台嗱個人嘅使用者嘅距離。
In this building, it's mainly radio, but we do also provide content for BBC ALBA. We have the daily What's On slot, which is community access for the channel. So people will phone in and tell us what's happening in their part of the country, and then that's on just before the news every single day. So that happens from here.
A story that's perhaps very important in Lewis might not be so important for someone in Glasgow, but what you have to do is to make it relevant. For example, there might be a very localised health issue, but you ask the reporter to say, well, what could this mean for the rest of Scotland? So you do things like that to try and make sure that something that's relevant for one part is watchable for the whole audience.
嗱，在關鍵係透過研究外省音從呢度提起設立電視台，希望帶動相關媒體產業創造就業機會，為後生嘅個人嘅使用者顯賺到故鄉。
To get Gaelic back into the communities, you have to have people in the communities. So the economy is a huge one. I mean, if you have no employment opportunities in these areas, people are going to move out of the areas. So the economy is a big one as well.
其中，獨立製片公司 MacTV 提議者跳出嚟向前，連年3年由 BBC ALBA 當天合作，將工作機會留到地方。MacTV 香港整28嘅人工，我已經係 Isle of Louis 島項最大嘅獨立製片商，佢哋當日做咗超過45點鐘嘅節目，伴 BBC ALBA 來放送，行嘅呢一條節目加起來經濟規模超過230萬英鎊。
Over the last 2 years, we've had what has been a volume deal to produce a certain number of programmes. And in fact, over those last 2 years, we've been supplying 20 hours of factual doc every year. We've also been supplying 10 hours of music programmes every year. and 35 hours of acquired factual doc as well. And over and above that, we have been also involved in factual entertainment series.
When I was young, there are many opportunities in television through Gaelic for people to come into the industry, to be cameramen, producers, soundmen, editors. A huge range of opportunities that didn't exist 25, 30 years ago for young people.
針對呢下狀況來講，你哋開推之前設立嘅目標，按照外界對佢嘅期待，當上對住早實現，對隻開2022年最後生嘅電視台嘅表現算係以好嘅，最大新潮係對2020年代英國實施財政縮減方案，就連 BBC 也認為預算唔難，關鍵唔將2年做嘅時間，通過咧英國公共電視評議委員會對佢進行嘅公共價值檢測，嗱市場衝擊評估。通知開放頻譜，把 BBC ALBA 變作係無線電視嘅免費備載頻道。2008年9月19正式設立嘅 BBC ALBA 電視台，因為將做咧透過有線電視模式回向頻道嘅消息，所以佢哋接觸到嘅觀眾群佔蘇格蘭人口嘅40%甜甜。我經過3年嘅答辯，佢哋通過各種嘅片量。從6年初期開始，正式變作 Review 備載頻道，也是大家有電視嘅家庭早前看得到。佢哋經濟應用結果，不論收視率也係影響力都會大幅度增加。
Will bring us twice the number of viewers, so it will double our viewership, and the BBC ALBA will now be available in every television viewing home in Scotland. So everybody who watches TV in Scotland from this summer will be able to watch BBC ALBA. And the other way it affects this is when everybody's able to see your channel, the channel moves from the edge towards the mainstream. So it becomes more important to have a broad appeal to a wide viewership and to offer something to everybody in Scotland at different times.
相對嘅 BBC ALBA 變作備載頻道之後，就會受到外界係能嚴格嘅檢視。電視台成立將近3年，檢討嘅意見開始出現，其中最多嘅爭議係除了使用該語言之外 ，BBC ALBA 到底營辦期間同其他電視台嘅差異是。
The real question is not the volume we produce, but what do we produce? What does our culture want to say to itself and to other people? Do we want to make a facsimile, a copy of other major language cultures, of English broadcasting or American broadcasting, and replicate these programs and ideas and themes in our own language? Or do we want to use our own life experience, our own cultural experience, and our own linguistic tools to produce a different kind of programming, to contribute to the world a different way of looking at the world? 透過貼貼語言提供男女種非主流解讀世界嘅觀點，唔單淨係蘇格蘭嘅 BBC ALBA， 而且係世界各國嘅族群頻道3萬而提升嘅目標。按多年來，你實際看到，或者係某種種國家用某種語言嘅人，看起來單槍張衛，保存自家語言都該做答辯。我係講，防台格局提高視野是做的發現，所以為貼貼族群語言嘅保存。付出各位概念模式組織，其實也在無形當中會提高出嚟多元文化呈現，前嚟熱分吸引力。我付出感覺天是否有正面嘅結果做得期待，就嚟透過最美嘅亞團法來感受一下蘇格蘭蓋爾族群嘅磁性鬧落感。
This is a tree growing out of a rock, and the tree has cracked the rock. And my conclusion in the book is that if that can happen, if a tree can grow out of a rock in Harris, then Gaelic can survive.
希望所有嘅邊緣人都做得變作少條盆地圖生出來耶穌。
連續6個禮拜，我哋一路對南半球嘅紐西蘭，看到英國嘅蘇格蘭，希望正經睇到從 BBC ALBA 嘅台詞所講嘅，本大家看嘅角度視野高法。客家新聞雜誌也會繼續帶大家去到世界各地。